that we've recommended tonight. That doesn't mean you have to adopt exactly what we said, but we would like you, to do that. But really, it's more to make sure you guys are in line with what the state has, and that you're covering at least that expansion. So the other portion of it is the noticing of amendments and rewriting of the zoning ordinance. The county has offered to rewrite your zoning ordinance with those changes in there that we recommended, if you guys decide to move forward with that. So it won't be on you guys just have to provide a Word document to them, and they'll make the changes and update your zoning ordinance. And they'll also write the noticing that is required for the public hearing for you guys, so you guys don't have to worry about that. And then if you guys still need us at attendance at a future meeting, Network Northwest, myself, or one of my colleagues will attend to answer questions for you. So that's all stuff that we're going to try to support you guys with if you choose to move forward with it. And so with that, I ask you guys if you have any questions. And then, are you ready to move forward tonight? So you guys can access that grant. And if you do decide to make that motion, we just ask when you make your minutes that you send an email to Kelsey at the Community Foundation with a copy of those minutes. It's all in here though, guys. So all their emails and everything back. So if you decide to move forward, we just ask that you do that. The county, it's Jody and Katie's emails in there as well for the county. And then if you guys need to contact me for future meetings, my email's in there as well. So with that, again, I'm just the end of my presentation. I have a resource slide for just what we utilized here, and then, but really, it's, you guys have any questions?
I'm excited. I mean, to me, this has been one of the hardest for people working and being able to kind of do this and problem solve it and have it already kind of given to us for problem solving. I know that 18 years ago when we moved here, one of the reasons we bought where we did is because when we were asking about childcare, the name that continually came up was Mary Kay. And so by being in Norman Township, and I never switched daycare providers through 3 children that there was a 10-year gap, which is pretty, I mean, most of my coworkers were constantly looking and flipping around, and so, I mean, and it's any kind, we're not saying you have to be a group, we're not saying you can be in a family. I like that. I like that you can choose as a parent, where do you want your child?
Yeah, and one thing, we didn't put it in your guys' tonight because of when we looked them over your regulation, we don't want to force a lot of change on you. But one of the things we've done in other communities, I don't know if this is something that you guys would want to do, but you could do it during the public hearing if you wanted us to come back in, was the group daycare homes, we made them special uses in your write-up, but a lot of communities, we've asked them if they want to make them a permitted use. Not everybody wants to do that, but it kind of drops off on that reducing regulation. It's something I throw out there to you guys just in case if you decide to move forward with it. You can do that or talk about that during the public hearing, but we could provide additional language if that's something that interests you, where we just redo your amendments. And if not, you guys could drive forward with what we provided. We didn't want to come into communities and say, hey, we want you to change where you're allowing things. We just want to make it more streamlined so that you're following the law and we're not changing your ordinance to where you guys are having to go out and be like, wow, this is really shaking things up. So, but that is something that we've offered other communities, and some of them have done it and some of them not. So just something to keep in mind as well. Is this something you guys think you would move forward with?
It seems nice to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
All this is doing is basically making our ordinances legal.
It's making it legal, yeah.
So it's not changing anything. It's not
Now,
really changing anything.
But if you change the group daycares to permitted use, that would be changing.
Right, yeah.
Well, we're not suggesting that, but
Right.
if that's something you guys want me to provide additional language with before your group, before your public hearing, I can provide that for you. With that said, if you guys want to access the grant, we would need a motion tonight on whatever way you guys are feeling, and then just be recorded in your minutes, so that you guys get access to that $500. Cause the newspaper notice on this alone is probably gonna be $120. And then if you want your attorney to review anything that has been presented, they're about $300 an hour plus. So, I can tell you that the definitions and stuff like that have already been reviewed by an attorney.
I was gonna say.
And,
Yeah.
the changing what you guys have in your use table was not so dramatic that I feel it needs an attorney review, but it is about your guys' level and what you guys do. I'm not you guys. So, with that said though, like, if you guys do make that grant becomes available to you as soon as you send the minutes over, they'll cut you a check.
I see no reason to not move forward with it. It's just updating our stuff to make us legal.
I think that's,
We're not changing anything, there's no reason not to move forward with this.
yeah, but we'll make the motion in new business. There.
Alright, well, thank you guys for the time here, and
Okay.
I'm gonna pass this back to you.
Thank you for your time. Very nice presentation.
These are all the contacts. That's the ones he was talking about for the contacts.
Okay,
So,
do you need them?
no, I copied these off. I don't need them, because I've got them right on my computer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
but thank you for coming.
Yep.
Thank you guys for having me, again, I appreciate it. If you have any questions or concerns, my email's also on here, so if you just need to reach back out and be like, hey, real quick, you know, who do we do this with, how does this work again, feel free to contact me.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
And fingers crossed we could even be, it's right in our packet. It's in our packet, that Ben sent us. I just did print it. Yeah. So it's right, the packet?
No, that's what I don't have.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Do you want, here, I think it doesn't have your contact, because I just gave them.
If they don't,
I've already got
Oh,
it.
okay.
So, yes, I'll let you know.
you gotta track it.
Nobody gets this
Have a
tonight.
good trip back.
Yep,
But no,
yes, I do.
Oh, you get it, okay.
Alright,
Thanks, Mike.
back to less fun things. Public comment next?
I have a public comment. Many, many months ago, this commission requested that minutes be placed on the website. It's not happening. I don't know if it's no longer a priority. That's my comment. I'd like to see them there.
More public comment? Close that section. Approval, correction of minutes to the packet. Look at those. I reviewed at home.
Motion to accept the minutes.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, unfinished business and reports. So the Township Board Representative. We got.
The trees at the park that were causing issues, and all the brush and stumps, that has been taken care of today.
So that was what I was hearing for cutting.
So that's all taken care of. I don't think there's anything else really to do to you guys.
The wall looks nice.
Yeah.
Excited.
It was nice from the outside of the wall, the roof.
Yeah.
Speaking of daycare, that box, it gives us Becky, but you see it.
Yeah.
Is there any plan to do anything with the facade of that cement? Or just gonna be cement forever? Like, is there a mural or something we could do one day? I wanna start something.
Once it has to be painted, it always has to be painted.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
True.
good point.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It would look cool.
But yeah, we could do, maybe we could hang someone or something.
That's a good idea.
As of right now, there is no plans for it.
Okay. Someone's gonna ask, I just get it out there.
We're getting this done for the summer and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Moving on.
Zoning Board of Appeal representative? We don't have one. Then zoning administrator.
Yeah, you've seen my report, you probably read through it, you know that I'm gonna be discussing it in great detail under the new business. So, we're discussing what he just did and, the community scale solar development and then other new housing areas in Northern Township that have not been, they've just called and asked, they may or may not, do an application. But it'll be also a zoning amendment to the ordinance. I talked with Rob Carson, who's his boss at Networks Northwest. Rob and I know each other for a long time. We were at the governor's banquet, and as the governor was waxing eloquently, we were discussing this whole thing and what they just presented us to. But he recommended that if we have anything else to be amended, that this would be a good time to do it because they'll pay for it. So if we get $500, it does take about $150 in the newspaper. And that's really the only cost. But we have 300-foot notices to send out, so that's 300 times whatever stamps are. And so, you know, it all adds up, which is why we do have cost to our permitting process. But I'll deal with those. But I did, while you have the report in front of you, I do want to let you know that it is. I did another permit today, and I think we're up to 11. Let's see, and another temporary dwelling permit also. We get about 8 to 10 temporary dwelling permits per year, and they're just about the same people over and over. They do it for 180 days. Usually they start now and then they go until October, and generally during the summer. So so they're really starting again to get busy. Today was pretty busy, of course, with the meeting tonight, but also with the people inquiring about different things and phone calls, etc. So I'm glad I had that extra hour and a half from 5 to 6:30 to get some other stuff done that had to be done. But I'll come back to that under new business. But the first thing under new business is we have to elect new members, new officers. So go ahead to new business, and then I'll catch you up with this.
Well, I guess let's start that process of electing new officers. So, we can nominate someone?
I can do that from here as secretary and ask for nominations, or I can ask for a slate. If anyone wants to offer the same ones we've had, they can do that too as a slate, and we can just pass those if no one else wants to be nominated. So that's
I'm leaving that up to you two down there, I mean.
yeah.
It's really a
Just,
everyone.
yeah, cause I would, do you have any objections of staying where you're at?
I don't mind this.
Okay,
But
and
if-
Andrew too, he's not here, so
He can be secretary. He's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll vote.
Yeah,
I'll start that one.
Yep, so, and you're VP, so,
Yeah.
so I would make the motion that we continue with the current slate of officers for this year. So that would leave Doug in the chair.
Unless you want to be chair, you can be it too.
No.
Okay. Well,
Doing a great job.
between you and me, really, so.
Yes.
We need a second.
All right.
You can second it, or you can second it, or, yes,
Yeah, we need a
yeah.
second, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
that's done.
Okay, let me, if I could take over these three things here, and you guys can discuss also at the same time, because I have some things I want to insert, and talking with Rob for about a half hour about this too, Cause, it basically was his idea, and I'm wanting to do it in Wexford County too, because I think it's a great idea. I think it ought to be more of a state law too, but, the way, when I've done daycares in the past, it's really a futile thing, because you have a lady coming in, I remember several that I've done in Western County, I can just talk about, and the fee there is $1,070 for a special use permit, and then they've gotta have a site plan review, that's $660, reviewed by the planning commission over there. There are 10 on the planning commission over there, so they've gotta do 10 different site plans. And I thought how ridiculous it is, because it's their own home. So what do we, if you want a site plan, just go out and look at the home and see if it's a good home that kids can be in or not. Why do they have to send them to some type of person that can do a site plan for them and have it to the planning commission, one to each planning commissioner? So I just thought it was really futile, and there was just something wrong about it with me. Because here's the reason why. They have to jump through so many hoops with the state. The state regulates it like you can't believe it. I tried to help a young lady who kept our county clerk's 2 little kids in her home, and kept her own child too. That was 3. And the state came after her, and she didn't know what was going on. She didn't know, you don't have to be approved as a daycare center. You only have 3 kids, 2 of them not yours, but the state came after her anyway. And it ended up costing her about $5,000 in fees and things from the court. She got a court judgment against her, and she didn't even know she had a court judgment against her, because she couldn't figure it out, and she couldn't afford an attorney to help her figure it out with her. So we had to help her get completely through that and start all over again. But what we're doing is, the way this is written, instead of a $500 special use permit, it's a $50 permit through the zoning administrator. Not, the $500 is to pay for you all too, and the things that have to go into the newspaper and all that. So it's really, it's deregulating is what I'm thinking. It's deregulating. And by the way, if you want to deregulate more, as Mike suggested to you, you can also put the other daycare centers in the, take them out of the special use, $500 each, because they have to jump through even more hoops with the state. It's gonna cost them even more. What we're doing locally is we're just helping them get a head start and a jump start into it. Then they can go to the state, and then they can throw their hands up and say, I don't know if I can actually do this. But we can at least realize that somebody that wants to start a daycare, they're gonna use their own home. So they're not gonna, the state's gonna come in and regulate that home. The state's, all we're gonna do is say, okay, under our guidance, you have to have a fenced-in area in the back for them to play in. And that's also a state requirement, but that's what our ordinance says that they have to do. So we have to make sure that, but we don't have to enter their home and tell them you can't use this room and you can't do that. It's really up to the state. So I'm all for deregulating all the care centers in this, and not having any special uses. Special
Even
use
just
again is
making them all
500.
permitted.
What?
Even the
Just
child,
making them all permitted uses.
To make them all permitted uses.
even the child care center,
Well,
or just the family daycare and group daycare?
well, the child care center is the main one. He already
Isn't the child care center kind of like,
more.
the way I'm kind of reading it, that's like a facility, not so much a home.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, any,
Yeah.
it's a facility.
Anything like that is like that. That'd be okay to have have it still be a special use.
I think it makes sense to do family daycare and group daycare permitted, the child
Okay.
care kind of
That sounds good.
as
Yeah.
a special use.
All right, we can, if that's all right with you guys. I mean, we're just discussing it now. We won't be able to vote on it until, next month. Let me take you through the thing, adding the child group and family daycares to our ordinance. First, you have to purpose that this is something that Norman Township needs to do. I think you've already done that, so, we've already voted on it, so that's one thing. Next, I have to schedule a public hearing at the next meeting, which means we're gonna have to meet next month too, by the way. To invite the public to know what's going on, invite comment on this issue. We'll put it on the website, we'll put it on the front side, and also the newspapers 15 days before the public hearing at a regular PC meeting. So next month will be a regular PC meeting again. And so we'll put it out to schedule a public hearing on that. And then we have a public hearing to list the pros and cons of deregulating the care centers and adding them to sections of the ordinance. And it's one thing that Networks Northwest did. They took our ordinance, as they did with every ordinance that's in Manistee County, and they said, okay, this is your ordinance, this is what you can add to your ordinance, so it's perfectly done. He said somebody at the county can do it. I've already got it in Word, and all I have to do is use the text that he sent me and just insert it exactly where he tells us to insert it. Whether it's in the definitions, interpretations, or in each section. Article 16, I know where that goes. I know, where Article 20 is, and 22. This can be done in probably 2 hours on our computer here, and we don't have to bother the county with it. So that's that. And then lastly, vote on adding the Networks Northwest amendments to the ordinance. We have to have, after a public hearing, we have to have the public hearing first. What you guys did, you just simply notified him with your vote that we can get the $500 grant from them by using these minutes that you voted like you did. You didn't vote to have this done. Voting to have this done takes a public hearing. The public has to know what we're wanting to do to change the ordinance, and then you vote at the next meeting to actually change the ordinance and use the suggestions that they put, or the things that you think we ought to do, add to it if there are any changes, like adding the other center, the family center taking it out of special use permit and having it be permitted. That type of thing. So,
Yeah.
Did we officially vote?
you didn't. Yeah, you did vote. Yeah.
and we
You
wanted
said
to
yes,
do
yes,
it.
you said
Yeah.
yes and stuff.
That's-
So I put it down here. Mary Baker went motion, and then Michael Lynn seconded it, and you voted unanimously. So yeah, okay.
We did a lot of
Maybe we need a new chairman.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Oh,
need-
come on, we did a lot of those all in a row.
Right.
Making sure
Your,
you're covering all of our
Making sure
bases.
it's like-
and-
your mind is a lot sharper than mine. Okay, I'll admit that right up front. Okay,
So-
that's number one. That's
Now,
what we
does
have to
the
do. And then-
Township have to do the vote too?
No, this isn't a vote for
That's
township.
something we can.
No, this is
we
a
can-
public
okay.
hearing to listen to them and see what they think. Because a lot of this stuff will go around and just be hearsay, and they won't know what's going on.
But, no, I mean the township board, do they have?
No.
Okay,
no, they
so
don't have to
we
this. Yeah,
do the
this is
voting
it.
and then they will
This
accept.
will change,
Okay,
this will change
perfect.
that, yes. Yeah. Okay, so, secondly, the development of a community scale solar development. I gave you some things in your packet, also, but I wanted to show you what this is. Now, we haven't received an application for the community scale solar development. And I'll show you what that is in a little bit, because I've got a picture up here of it as to where it is, et cetera. But that's not what's on the table now. What's on the table now is a community scale solar development is not in our ordinance anywhere. It's in our ordinance in Wexford County, it's under energy, things like that. But this is not a huge mega solar scale development like one that's going up in Wexford Township in Wexford County. That's 1,800 acres that Ranger Power is trying to get developed up there. And people are kind of on both sides of that, which I am too. But the thing is, if a mega thing like that, if they don't come through us and we don't allow it, they can go to the state and go to the MSP, the power team of 3 selected people by the governor, and they can do the same thing up there. And those 3 people can say, yes, you can put it in Wexford Township, no matter what Wexford Township says. That was the 2023, Public Act 233 in 2023 that they changed at the state. So it doesn't matter actually what we vote down here, the huge ones can go up to the state. This one cannot. This is a local one, it's gonna be over a 22-acre property, and I'll show you that in a moment. But we're not dealing with this now because only if we add this to the ordinance can they then do a special use permit to have one of these, okay? So the person that owns the property, you'll find out who that is in a minute, they're going to be his representative at trying to get this done on his property. Okay, so first is we'll receive an application for a zoning ordinance amendment, which is what this is too, by the way, what we just got, from Atwell Engineering by May 8th, 2026. So they have 2 weeks to get their act together. Believe me, Atwell Engineering in big firm in Illinois, I met with them and also the fire department for access on Friday, and they were the ones that handed me that and all the other things, topography and everything else. They even handed me a complete wetland delineation and threatening and endangered species habitat assessment report for Tippy Dam Road Project, Norman Township, Manistee County, Michigan. I've read through that. You don't want to read it, but unless you want to, I mean, you'll get a copy of it. But don't get me wrong. I'm kidding when I say you don't want to read it. You might want to read it. I don't care. But that's what they handed me Friday, and so we'll receive that application. So this is only so they can give us this with an application for a special use permit. So they're spending $500 to try to amend the ordinance. Secondly, I'll put a 300-foot notice out to the surrounding property owners of this property, and I'll put a public notice in the newspaper and online. So this is the next thing that is also coming to us next month, because they'll get it to me on May 8th. I'll get it in the newspaper May 9th or 10th. It has to be 15 days before our next meeting. And we'll also be discussing adding this to our ordinance too, in the section of, it's only going to be in the section of ag residential, in that section. That this will be a special use in that. I think we'll be getting others. I don't know about here, but I know they're coming. This is a small development, by the way. Okay, this is under, I think, 10 megawatts, which is really small. We're not talking the gigawatts that's going to be up in Wexford County, in the northwest of Wexford County, going up in Grand Traverse County.
Is an individual that's trying to build this just to make money and feed into the grid?
No, this is a group. This is a group. Atwell, and also a group from Indianapolis, Kermley Horn, that is the representative of the ones that are wanting to do this. It's a company down in Chicago that wants to have a 22-acre solar development close to Tippy Dam. And I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, so I'll put out the notices. You'll receive the package with my staff report on it before May 19th, which is a week before the meeting. And then we'll get input from the public at the meeting and vote to amend the ordinance or not to amend the ordinance to allow this to go forth in it. Now, again, you always have you have the ability to change anything you want, even what Mike wanted. You can rearrange anything you want if you want to do it that way, like making one of them not a special use permit and just a permitted use. But you can say yes, you can say no, you can say yes, and have conditions on it. But let me show you. Basically, I can't get into the details of this because that's not what they're asking. All they're asking is this 33-acre property, 22 acres of it is going to have a solar farm on it. And let me bring this up to show you the difference. put this out in front of you, you should all be able to see it somehow, stand up and see it. Okay, the property is, here, see here? So all around it are gonna be the trees. The trees are gonna be left 100 feet all the way around it. So people won't be able to see this. This will be 8 to 10 feet high. It will be rotating during the day. So at its height is when it's rotated the farthest either way. So people won't be able to see this. They won't be able to see it from the road because we're already back about 150 feet before they even started. So what they're doing with the 33 acres is they're taking 22 of it and putting this. Now, this will be their station. That means that's where the hum will be going with the electricity going in. And then they'll run a line down here underground, and it'll go underground to Consumers Energy's line here that's underground that goes probably from the dam coming down through here. So the hum can only be heard maybe 100 feet away, which I think you can see. This is about 600 feet here, from there to there, 600 feet. So you can see where it is here. You've got Tippy up there. You've got the waters here. You've got a lot of open. This is all federal land there, or consumers' land, and there are large parcels here. There are some people here and here, but this is from where that will be. It's again about 600 feet away, and it's got trees in between too, so they won't hear anything either. They won't hear a hum at all. So that's what we're looking to do if we will allow a solar development like that to go on that property. And that property is owned by Mr. Edwards. Let me see where I can find his name. Oh, well. Okay. And they're going to be representing him in all this. So that's that. I'm letting you know this because I haven't gotten anything yet. And we don't have to do anything yet. You don't have to start yelling around about solar projects or anything, because this is just a change to, an addition to the ordinance. That's all this is.
It's not about this development.
It's not about this, it's about changing the ordinance to allow this in ag residential. And we can do anything we want in that. For example, we can say something like this cannot be any more than 25 acres. And it has to be at least a 40-acre property or something. You know, you can make whatever you want up. I like the idea that they have decided to make this unseen by having a 100-foot buffer area all the way around with the remaining trees. They will be clearing out the trees, so that's going to be sold too, I'm sure, and the owner of the property will get to do that. They're also putting in a large escrow account. They will be putting in a large escrow account because 25 years, 30 years from now, they'll be removing it. And it will go back to a farmland if they want, or whatever else it needs to be. So, and they'll be here for the meeting of, well, they may be here next month also, but we may Zoom them with next month, but they'll be here live when they come to present this, as Mike was tonight. They'll answer all the questions anybody would ever want to know about this type of thing. They're pros at this, they know how to do it, as you can see by the drawings there. They get the best people to do the best things that they do, and they pay them a lot for it. Okay, so this is one thing. The other thing is new housing possibilities in Norman Township. There are two that have gotten feelers out to me by calling me, emailing me, coming by here, discussing things. And one of them, two people are wishing to turn 3 commercial areas near the residential downtown area to residential so that we can finally have houses built on those. Right now in commercial, you can't have a house built. I don't know how in the world somebody got this duplex built down here on this one long property on this side of Seaman Road, they got a duplex built. I don't know. I've searched into the history of that, and apparently they allowed one to be built. He was gonna build 3 more, and the group behind there, got really upset about that and yelled at township people up here, and they didn't do it anymore. So
No,
let me
they
show you
took
where
it
this
to a
is.
community vote.
Yeah,
They lost.
okay,
It was a vote.
yeah.
The
you're
community
right, yeah,
voted
yeah.
against it because they weren't happy that the first ones happened.
Exactly,
So the community said no
okay,
to
good,
duplexes.
good, yeah, there you go. Okay, so this is the 3 areas here. I've gotten calls on this, at least one every couple of months for the last year or so, asking if these are open to building houses on them. Now you see where they are, right by the lake there. Right, my township property here. Township property's here. Here's Little Mary. Little Mary starts here and goes up, so they own the rest of that. Now, the thing is, on this side, you can see that it's kind of, this is a duplex, by the way, but, the commercial comes down, most of this, I think it's even part of these yards, comes all the way down to here, and, I'm not sure if it keeps going.
It goes all the way
All the
down.
way down to.
My old property.
Yeah, okay, goes all the way down the end. But you can go by there, you can drive by there, and you can see that these aren't worth anything right now, unless they're filled in and leveled, and the trees taken out, and so you have to ask yourself, is anybody gonna have an ice cream shop there? I don't know, or whatever, something commercial. Or should we try to change these, because they are close to all of our residential around the lake, and to making these residential would cause these to go sky high, I think, for the ones. By the way, this is an alley, that means, one guy owns these 2, which means he owns this part too, because they vacated the alleys as a board about 15 years ago. So that's his, and they get half of this one, and the owner of this would get half of this one. So it could even be a larger area if 3 homes went in there. They're very wide, they're pretty deep. They're deep enough to, well, you can see how small these are, and they have homes on them. So they're big enough for residences. In other words, our master plan said we need residences, we need housing. And if we change those tonight, they can be sold this week. It's that easy. Because there are people calling me saying, what can I do on that? And I say, well, I'll give you a list, right? Told them everything they can do in commercial, which is not what they want.
No commercial, there's never gonna be any development there for commercial purposes.
I understand that,
It's
so,
not going.
I don't think you have the parking,
Yeah.
parking right in there.
right, yeah,
You can buy all of it.
yeah. So, just letting you know,
That's gonna be in the next meeting too, right?
I don't know.
Go to a public hearing?
Well, there's gotta go to a public hearing, yes, but this is just somebody asking questions now. They're coming to me saying, is it possible that I could change that to residential? I say, yes, it's possible, but you have to give us some reasons to the planning commission, because to change this, it's kind of costly to make an amendment. It's $500 to amend, and so to do that, is it worth it to the community to have 3 more homes there? Is it worth it to the township to be able to get more taxes from homes there, or is it gonna be just land like that forever because no one wants to put a shop there? Bicycle shop, I don't know what else could go there.
Well, the other, my question would be with the one that's the closest, that it's not gonna be something that Little Mary's would have difficulty with.
Right,
That it
Right.
has to be compatible to Little Mary's.
yes. That is a park,
Which
yeah, this is a
commercial
park
wouldn't
here.
be.
This,
Yeah.
commercial, this is a park here,
Yeah,
and hers is on up there where the houses are. So, You know, I don't know. But again, this is only in the thinking stages. This is not coming to you, and they may not do it. Let me get to the last one here. In the future, someone is wishing, I put wishing there, to do, not to sell, to do a subdivision or a site condominium on the school property in Dublin. The K&D property that's there, it's like 31 to 33 acres, something like that, and it's that property. You're probably familiar with that, or you knew that it was there. K&D, it's their property, it's their only property left here in Norman Township, and it's a good sized property. It is, next to residences there. It is next to residential. As a matter of fact, the store is in residential too, as I recall. But it could stay there because it's grandfathered in. Probably his grandfather even owned it. But that's that. Now, this is another thing that's going to be very difficult because they'd have to do it. That can be done as our zoning ordinance is now. They could do it as a PUD, a single-use PUD development, and they could do it as a site condo, or they could do it as a site condo is easier to do, but they have to put in the roads. They have to get that taken care of with the road commission, make sure, or the township themselves, our township board, will allow private roads in there. And then they've got to divide it up, and then they have to have about 40% that they don't use at all. Something like
For the PUD or for site condos?
for either, but for the PUD, where they could do site condos or subdivisions. You can read the PUD, it's about 9 pages long in ours. In other words, they'd have to have about this type of area being either a park or just free. You know, they could put a ball field in there or whatever they want. Something.
Well,
Swimming pool, public swimming
can
pool.
the,
I don't care. Yeah,
have laws changed in terms of those school properties?
yes,
Because when I was on the school board for
Okay.
K&D,
okay,
we could not, if we gave up those properties, they went back to the state. We
Right,
could not sell
right.
those properties.
right,
That's why the school moved into logging them.
yes,
So there was, but we couldn't do anything. We could give a right away for somebody to get to a
Right.
landlocked property.
right.
So I don't know how this could be done, how the school could, because they can't sell it and they're not in the housing business.
I understand, but somebody is approaching the school to see if they can buy it.
Okay,
Again,
well,
it's
I
a
don't-
wish. It's a
Yeah,
wish.
it's a wish because
I know.
I'm pretty sure they can't sell it.
Okay, well, the thing is, in reality, if they could sell it, would that be a good site condo place for housing? Let's say half acre or 1 acre lots all the way around with,
If they put in a little league,
yeah.
because that's lacking, where our kids don't have a
I know,
place to
I
play
know,
ball
I
anymore.
know,
I think it might be good to actually put in roads that are maintained, so you don't have another
I know.
Joseph David,
Yeah, I
Susan
know.
Street.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I kept this here, because I wanted you to see.
make sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because especially this street is just horrible. Rich and I drove down this and, yeah, it was.
That's the road I got
taking your
stuck
life
on,
in your
in the
hand.
middle of the road.
I got stuck there as well.
yeah.
Next day.
Okay. Wow. So, yeah, I understand. That's why it has to be done under a PUD, because we have to guard that. And if they do it as a site condo, they have to go to the state to do that too. We have first dibs as to telling them what we'll allow them to do under the PUD statute that we have in our ordinance, but they have to go through the state to get it done. So,
Yeah.
With the PUD houses too, they can go smaller houses as well,
they
right?
go, whatever you guys want them to do, basically. You can waive just about anything under PUD.
You set the rules.
Yeah,
You'd set the rules, but they first have to get that property. And I know that,
exactly.
I know
It changed.
Everett had the township
It
owned
changed.
property
They did.
in Everett, and they tried to, they put it up on the, for sale,
Yeah,
and then they found out legally they could not do
okay.
that. That it
Cool.
was state property that had been given to the township and they could
I know,
not sell it.
I know. There are a
So-
lot of school properties though that are no longer school properties. I mean, just about every other checkerboard
I
back in
know,
the 1890s belonged to the school and along the railroad. The railroad actually went between them on diagonal. That's how the railroads went. That's why this railroad went diagonally through there, because it had to miss the school property and had to go through. The school probably owned property, the Norman Township School probably owned a lot of checkerboards going up the side of the railroad
well,
back
that's where
then.
your grandma went to school, was on that property. And,
Okay.
yeah, cause the school never wanted to be in the property owning business unless it was something they could do something with.
How did but the school board can sell, like, the woods, if you lose a building already, they can sell it? Or they get reverted back to the state and then they bought it
If
from
the
the state?
school has bought property, that belongs to the school and they can sell it. If it was given to them and they closed these schools, these little country schools, those properties were given to the school under the state with the understanding that they couldn't do anything with them, which didn't make sense.
Yeah.
School boards were kinda like, I don't know why we're in this business, so then that was the solution that we did. Okay, let's cut trees off of them we had a logger person that kept track of. And I just wondered if maybe they finally, if somebody has come along and said, you know, this is really dumb for the schools to be in this real estate. Did they? Did they come through and say, good? Does that make sense? And I would love to see, and I know you've said pickleball, in over at the park. We don't have any ball diamond anymore.
I know.
And that's one of the things that's been the saddest of not having the elementary school, is you get so used to that in the summertime of hearing kids at the ball diamond.
Yeah.
And that's been really sad.
Well, that's what you do with a PUD, because they have an option of having other things in the area that the 40% or 46% that they cannot use for housing.
Does the 40% have to go be common use for the 60%
Yes.
that own it, or the whole community?
No, one person owns the whole thing,
Yeah.
and they own it. They can even collect money each
HOA,
year to clear the roads and whatever from the people that own the properties. So one person owns the whole thing.
So-
If it's a site condo, if it's a subdivision, then that's different, but yeah.
Or a PUD.
Yeah, a PUD. Well, both of them have to be done under a PUD.
Alright.
So there still has to be the open areas for the use of the entire group and for the public too. So that would be excellent to have for, you know, playground, whatever.
So the public would have access to that 40%,
Yeah,
no matter what, or only if allowed by an owner of the PUD?
it depends. I mean, that can be a condition that we put on it.
As I was gonna say, if you're saying you wanted a ball field there, but then who's liable? Child gets hurt
Yeah,
at the ball field,
yeah,
the property is privately owned,
yeah.
can't,
Go ahead, yes, sir.
This would not be a public ball field. It's like the condos there off of River Street in Manistee, where they built all the big houses on the tiny lots there, just, what do they call it, the outsider restaurant there?
yeah.
That fire pit, that water park, that is just for the people that live
Okay.
there. This would not be a ball field place.
Okay,
This would be,
so this
it
is
would be
not-
open spaces for that community and those people that live there.
That can do,
Good, a walking trail.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
which
So,
makes sense.
again, a wish, this is a wish somebody had out there, a builder that wanted to come in and do something, and he's talking with the school now. So, it probably won't go anywhere, but I just wanted to let you know.
Is the 40% rule a state mandated thing?
No, that's in our ordinance, that's in our ordinance, and some of that can be waived too.
Okay.
So, a lot of stuff in the PUD can be waived by you guys.
Yeah.
I read through the whole thing this last week, so I don't.
I was talking to Manistee zoning administrator, and they said that their PUDs in Manistee are like nearly nothing for community area.
Okay,
Pretty cozy.
yeah.
So.
Well, we had a Schindler that wrote ours.
Theirs has been rewritten too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Enough said, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we can redo the whole PUD thing. As a matter of fact, a lot of ordinances now just have site condominiums as its own thing. because site condominium is a state thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be done under a PUD. And, we still have to review it as a planning commission, but it doesn't mean that, you know, it's still done through the state. It's done through a person buying it, going to the state, getting permission to do a site condominium there. And they have to go by the state regulations, which is kind of like ours here too. But they still come through us first. So, which I like, but we should set some boundaries. So, okay, that's all I've got.
You bring up these three
Yeah.
or 4 points.
Yeah,
The first two we're discussing in our next meeting.
yes.
The next two, we're gonna discuss if someone actually brings it up again.
If they bring me an application.
Okay.
I had a guy in my office today, said, I'm gonna fill out that application and do that, because I want those properties there, the homes.
So if we had an application in the next week or so, we would actually discuss that at the next meeting as well.
They'd have too much to do, it'd be down the road. This one would be sometime in the fall if he ever gets around to it. Yeah,
Well, and, yeah, for the ones by, cause Little Mary's the playground, well, not the playground area, the Mackinac Bridge,
Yeah.
that was all underwater.
yeah,
And I think those properties get water
they
too.
probably will. That's
I
why
think
they'll have to be leveled out.
Yeah,
One of the corners currently in the water still.
yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
yeah. Rich and I drove by there
Yeah,
once,
those other
a couple
three, I'm
weeks ago
thinking,
too.
cause they were kind of, that was one of the reasons why,
The corner one definitely is.
yeah. I know Dale Fairley owned the middle one. Or maybe he owned it all, I don't know, but I know that it was because it couldn't be built on.
Well, I gave you possibilities too, but the real thing is, what you just did tonight, that will be discussed at the next meeting and voted on with a public hearing. And the Atwell thing, that will also be a public hearing at the next one, to add that to it. And, as I talked to Rob Carson, they don't mind us using the $500 grant to pay for both of those. Cool. Yeah. They'll give us $500 no matter what. And, you know, you can put two things in the newspaper at the same time. So, it'll work. Okay, that's all I got.
Yeah, and Rob's a good connection that we wanna make, 'cause he does know where.
What? That covers new business. Do you have any old business? Nope. Not that I know of. So, public comment? Okay.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Yeah,
Aye.
it's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's some, and I have, if you notice the gentleman